Inside Story Uganda, real source of political updates.
In 1980, I don't have the specific figures, but UPC had about 68 or 63 MPs, and DP had about 53. There was actually opposition in parliament. It is not that MPs are first elected, or opposition MPs. The very first time it has happened in the history of Uganda is when NRM is in power. Actually, UPC rigged the elections, but not as much as NRM. They only wanted to win. That's why DP, I think they had either 57 or 56, and DP had about 63. 58. Yeah. So don't present Ssemuju's victory in Chira as if it's such good evidence. But you allow me a few seconds,
sure.
Charles. I have a relative who has just been released by the military. He told me if you go to the military dungeons, there are, especially as my brother Wongo noted last time, Muslims in their hundreds who were arrested for killing Kawesa and for terrorism and for many other things. They are still 4 years, 5 years, 6 years later. They have never been produced in any court. Let if Ofono Pondo or anyone else challenges me, we go and visit those military dungeons. They are still there. The killings are still happening. The other day we were discussing here. They went and shot Sheikh Chirevu. He's from Chazanga, where I was born. He was on handcuff and they claimed he was running. Can you imagine that for me, one time they arrested me for walk to work and I was on handcuffs. But they went to arrest a terrorist. And after arresting him, the terrorist was not on handcuff, he was running. You can fool people for no point. We are not comparing. Mr. Museveni and people who went to Luwero, their promise was to end extrajudicial killing, was to end, if you read again Pekos Kutesa, he says for him the motivation to go to Luwero was because Mr. Museveni had been humiliated at a road broker in Kireka. Just humiliation. See what you are doing to Besigye. You go and kidnap him from Kenya. Okay, you don't want Uganda to be turned into people's toilets, but for you are turning other people's countries into toilets. I've been to South Sudan. I've been to Congo. That's why you have had problems with Rwanda even as I speak to you today. Because if you don't want your country to be turned into a toilet, you don't turn other people's countries into toilets. So the problems that happen, we do not want you just to reduce them in percentages. They simply had to stop for us to have a good country. And self-sustaining economy. We passed a budget this financial year, 72 trillion. Half of the budget is to pay debt. That's why the Auditor General, if you read his report, Mulago Hospital has an intensive care unit of 27 beds, only 15 are working, no staff. Children who sat senior 4, whose results will be coming next week, they don't know which subjects they will do at senior 5 because Curriculum Development Center lacks 7 billion, just 7 billion, to approve the content of the subjects they will do. Today in Parliament, Mr. Museveni was asking for 232 billion for his residence in the classified expenditure. I was asking Parliament what is classified about Museveni and his wife, because they are the occupant of State House. People speak about corruption, but they don't speak about abuse of public resources. Last financial year, Museveni revised his budget of classified expenditure. It reached 425 billion. Yet that residence is created by the law on Presidential Emoluments and Benefits Act, just as any other residence. That's why Wasarwe, when he was the Deputy Inspector General of Government, he said corruption is licensed for some, it is not licensed for the other. So the abuse by Museveni and his group, people who go to Salim Saleh, for God's sake, musician, this one has come back with 500. This one has gone to pick 200. Which business does Saleh do that gives him all that money he keeps dishing out day and night? You can pretend about these things. They pick one thing and everybody corruption. Dombo says Museveni works with thieves. At his residence last financial year, he spent 802 billion. One old man and his wife who are occupant of State House. 802 billion. And then they will chase one PSC and say this one president is working with thieves. Was already said, corruption is licensed for some. So if you are part of those who are supposed to benefit...
Didn't you approve that money?
Absolutely.
You as members of parliament?
But you have seen, even today, I was quarreling with them. I told the NRM MPs...
You quarreled, but you still passed
I told the NRM MPs that actually that's why you are being called the idiots. After abusing you, they throw supplementary and you pass it. And I said, you actually qualify. For us, I mean, by percentage, we are just about 25% of parliament. We will quarrel, we will do everything, but you're going to be driven because they have the numbers. Anyway, going for
elections.
Going for...
Who gave you only 27?
Museveni didn't quarrel with them. When Ugandan voters didn't vote him, he went to pick a gun.
I'm saying...
Why didn't he quarrel with Ugandan voters?
Quarrel with Ugandan voters.
No, you should have advised Museveni in 1980. When he lost the election, he didn't quarrel. He went to Ruero to pick a gun. Someone who had lost an election. So the Electoral Commission, like all the institutions in Uganda, works not even as a department of NRM, but as a kiosk of Mr. Museveni. That's why when he says do this, they will do it. I remember one of the elections, you were still in NRM conferences in Nambole. The Electoral Commission pretended that they were extending nomination date because of other reasons, yet Museveni was not able to be nominated. So this whole Electoral Commission, Parliament, whether court, whether they all have been captured by Museveni. They will complain about financing. In the area where I am an MP,
in Kira,
we are supposed to be doing a update, but also registering new voters. But primarily because the new voters mainly are young people, they would rather they are not registered. A parish in my constituency, some of the parishes are as big as a district in other areas. If you come to Chireka alone, has a population of more than 200,000. They send you 2 computers, and then the 2 computers are stationed here, and then they tell you that's what we have. Right now, when I asked, they told me it is actually NIRA that is doing the registration. We have been passing money for mass enrollment. They don't undertake it. Because if people choose not to register, that is understandable. But if you make it difficult, now go and pick a letter.
How long are the queues in Kira?
Do people even know?
Since the start of the
do
update...
people even know where the computers are?
Since the start of the update exercise...
I am telling you, do even people know where the computers are? If me as an MP had asked where are the computers, they told me they will be in one area, then after another 3 days they wait, they will come. But the only people are asking, where are the computers? We want to go and register. When you go for registration, they issue with a form. You go to an LOC, I think to either verify and validate. Then from there you go to ISO.
And that is the voter who's seeking to enroll?
To register, yes.
Is the one told to go and look for ISO?
You first pick a form. You don't even start with a village. You first pick, they don't tell you come with a date of LOC. You go and pick a form at those 2 computers or theirs, wherever they are stationed. Then when you pick a form, you go to LOC, the LOC will endorse. Then from there, you go to DISO, then the DISO. Really, people are extremely inconvenienced. It will take a lot of civic interest for a person to go through that just purposes of registering to participate in an election. Last election, we said we had nearly 1 million people who were turning 18. And the Constitution says whoever is 18 on day of election must register. What they are doing right now, they are not registering people who will be 18 next week, or even they say, no, you must first turn 18.
Before they register you.
Before they register you. So which means you're going to experience the same problem that we had in the previous election. That you have a whole million, that is more than 1 million people are going to be locked out of the exercise because they are younger people. They can't be sure that these young people will vote for us. The Electoral Commission...
aren't you interested in getting those young people to register because they will vote for you?
But they have told you the cutoff. If you are not 18 at the time of registration.
No, my argument is you're accusing them of not registering those young people because they fear they will not vote for them. Are you mobilizing them because they will vote for you?
I have told even if you mobilize them, they will not get registered because they have told you, I have done this. You see, I have gone and asked the Electoral Commission. They are representatives. I have people who are turning 18 in February. What do? We cannot register them because they are turning 18 in February.
They are not yet 18.
They are not yet 18. The Constitution says at the time of election, you must register. That's why in the past, registration used to be as close to election as possible. You remember? Dr. Wesley returned from South Africa almost 1-2 months to election, but he was able to register. I think now Museveni told them, these younger people are disturbing me, please register a year before such that you can knock out 1 million people.
But the Electoral Commission will be locked in between a rock and a hard place, because if they register underage people, you'd complain that they're registering people before they qualify.
The Electoral Commission, we even changed the law in Parliament to allow Electoral Commission or any other government agents to access,
which is the national NIRA,
to access information in the hands of NIRA. Most of the Electoral Commission registers are extracts from NIRA.
Okay.
Even as I speak to you now, they are not the ones who are doing registration.
It is NIRA.
This registration is being done by NIRA.
David Lewis Rubongoya, how are you at the National Unity Platform prepared for the next election, and do you feel that the Electoral Commission is ready to run that election?
Ordinarily, if we are preparing for an election, I would say that we are ready, because an election, and that's why we are talking about the 10-point program. The first point was restoration of democracy, but that was certainly betrayed. No wonder the books that Honorable Ssemuju and others have been talking about, you know, most of the prominent ones have that word betrayal in them. Miriam Matembe writes about the struggle for freedom and democracy betrayed. Njuba writes about the betrayal. Kazwera writes about betrayed by my leader. So the word betrayal, you know, surfaces everywhere because the ideal was betrayed. So when we're talking about 39 years of NRM, it's complete betrayal of the values and aspirations, and especially of the people who died to bring about this regime. Now, you can imagine that we are going for an election, but the regime, the Museveni regime, never looks at it as a democratic exercise, but as a military operation. And that is why.
And if you can, sorry to disturb you. Today in Parliament, we are processing the draft budget. UPDF has asked for 138 billion that they want to secure elections.
They want to secure elections. You know, I saw that and shuddered. So, you know, for them, they look at it as a military operation. And I saw them, I think it was the PS Ngoma saying, you know, we want to secure all of you. An exercise which should really be a democratic exercise for the people of Uganda. Police constables are there. People are free to come and vote for their leaders. But the regime looks at it as a military operation.
But
in the last election,
where's the military in the voter register update?
And it is there. You see, for example, Honorable Ssemuju has been talking about the involvement of the GISO and the DISO. Are you aware that for any person to be registered now, these young people are talking about, in addition to the LC, they need to go to the Gombolora internal security officer to get a signature and then go to the DISO. You can imagine. Someone is somewhere in the village at a certain parish, and they have to go and look for the DISO to get a signature. What kind of madness is that? What does the ISO or GISO have to do with an electoral process? If someone has their NIN number, or if someone has a national ID, why do you want them to, you know, have a signature of the GISO? I mean, I've been moving around the different, you know, update areas, and all these problems are there. You find they're telling you, one, that the computers are not enough. Sometimes they tell you the computers are faulty. They have been taken to the headquarters. I saw...
How long are the queues where you've been?
I'm telling you that, first of all, the turnout has been low so far because of those impediments. I mean, I was moving around different parts of, I was in Kamocha, I was in Mengo and other places. So if this young person comes and they are told, go and look for a GISO, go and look for a DISO, what are the chances that they will come back to come and register?
Have you raised this with the Electoral Commission?
Of course, we even wrote a letter, a complaint to the Electoral Commission, even sought a meeting over some
and
of these
has the Commission
challenges.
responded to you?
Not yet. But in addition to that, you see, for example, this issue of gerrymandering. Are you aware that the Electoral Commission, during this process of demarcations, has reduced very many electoral positions in places where they know for sure that General Museveni is not likely to get support or to rig elections easily? Because I wouldn't say that he's even supported in these other areas. But here in Kampala, they've removed about 260 elective positions. In Wakiso, over 300.
How do you mean? I mean, viewers may not understand what exactly you're talking about exactly.
You know, before this
how
voter
are they
update,
removing? Yes.
there was an exercise called demarcation of electoral boundaries. So they displayed it, and in this display that they released, they have removed very many electoral areas. They have combined. So where we've been having, of local governments. So where we've been having 3 councillors, for example, you find you are having 1. But like I said, under the law, if you read Section 108 of the Local Governments Act, representation should be in tandem with the population, the size of the population. So if you go to some areas, you know, in far-off districts, where they know they can easily rig elections, intimidate people, and get these leaders there, they have not affected them as much as these places where they know for sure that they cannot even afford to rig because of the massive...
The Electoral Commission, Mr. Bongoya, has indicated that in the next election, almost up to 3.8 million elective positions will be available. And the complaint has been, this is too much. You need to reduce the size of parliament, you need to reduce the size of local governments, you need to reduce all these elective positions.
And
Isn't that a
actually, that has
contradiction?
been our argument. Our
Yes.
argument has been that we want to have a lean but efficient government. But what the regime does, and that's why what is called gerrymandering, even in terms of the parliamentary seats. Look at Uganda, which has the biggest population in this country, but has the lowest number of members of parliament. And I'm telling you that in principle, even by logic, representation should follow the population, because these are representatives of the people. So when we say reduce, we are saying where you have a lower population.
So give me an example. Help us with an example. Which area, for example, in Makerere, Kavule, where you are, how many councillors have been dropped?
I've
Where
told you that even KCCA, for example,
Yes.
at City Hall, where you had 28 councillors, now there are only 17. They have been reduced by 11. Kampala Central Division, they have removed 3. Kawempe Division, there have been 87 councillors, now there are 48. Machinde Division, there have been 97, now there are 48. Ruaga, there have been 95, now there are 43. They have reduced it by 52. In Nakawa, where you had 91 councillors, now there are 49. So that's just an example of Kampala. But I've told you that in Wakiso, over 300 positions have been scrapped off. But the point is...
And where has been the multiplication?
Now, what I'm saying is that in other areas, if you look at, because we've done a study of this, and we've even written to the Electoral Commission about this, again, complaining and seeking a meeting with them over the same. But you can see that it is very, very deliberate. One, to cause conflicts now already, where you had 3 leaders of NUP, for example, now they are all jostling for one position. And so that's what we're talking about, that the Electoral Commission is simply on the orders from somewhere. You know, and that is of great concern to us. So if you look at the requirements for young people to be registered, and you look at what they're doing with, like Honorable Ssemuju has said, they put this exercise at the parish level, and some parishes are too big. There's no sufficient information being given out to the people that today these people are going to be at this point.
Don't you
and the
share
other
a
at this
responsibility
point?
as players in this, both yourself and Honorable Ssemuju as a leader, to help the Electoral Commission communicate?
But how do you
exercise?
communicate that you don't know yourself? I've told you they
The
will
Commission
say,
says it has done consultations with you.
of
and
course
other
not.
people.
That's not true. And what I've told you is, now the PRO of the Electoral Commission was saying, you know, they have very few gadgets, so that's why in the parish they have to go to this point today, the following day they go to another. But this information, people do not have it.
Okay.
So, and in addition to that, like I said, you find they say that now the machines are faulty, they are not able to function. So it's a mess. And you can imagine, the Electoral Commission is given 5 years to prepare for the next election. And you find that on election day, they are saying that the biometric machines are not working. So you can see that it's a carefully designed system to aid in the rigging of elections, in ensuring that they are not fair.
Let me have Ofono Pondo pick it up from there. Ofono, you speak for the government. Most of these questions are being put to you as government, be it NIRA or the Electoral Commission.
You know, it is hard to have meaningful discussion with a liar, especially a liar who appears not to be informed, has not bothered. First of all, if we have collapsed administrative units, and therefore elective offices are going to be fewer, we don't vote the president through electoral college. It is not councillors who vote for the president, who vote for MPs, and therefore collapsing, reducing the number of councillors whether in Kampala or in Tororo does not affect the parliamentary election votes.
Did I say it affects it?
No, because you are arguing as if the president or members of parliament are elected through electoral colleges. No. You made your point. You made your point.
Let me clarify this.
If you are saying,
yes, that they are reducing elective positions in areas where they know they are not going to win.
But
and that's the argument that Ofono Pondo is right.
Yes. So the president is not elected by electoral college. So the reduction of councillors or members of parliament does not apply. If you are arguing that they have refused to register new voters or people who want to transfer, they have legitimate reasons, they have documentation, and so on and so forth, there you would have a point. Now, I have not spoken to the Electoral Commission in maybe 2 months, 3 months, but I understand they are addressing a press conference tomorrow. I think after these 4 or 5 days, because it started on 20th, I guess after these 5 days of display and registration, there are logistical issues, there are complaints that they have gathered around the country. I think it is better to give them the benefit of doubt, wait for them tomorrow when they are addressing the issues. Because I would want to imagine that they are going to respond to the complaints. They make the clarifications of logistical. Why, for example, a parish in Kampala, which obviously will have more people than a parish in a rural area, why do you give them only 2 computers? As you give a parish in Nganda, which has fewer people. I would imagine administratively they should have been able to give populated places more equipment and more personnel to work on. But that is for them tomorrow to respond. There is no design by the government or by the president to suppress the voting or registration of voters in any part of the country because you claim they don't support. Because where there is evidence of this government applying equity in rationalizing voting population, in rationalizing grants for schools, for education, for health, even in places that have never. I want to challenge anybody. Kasese, for the last 10 years or so, never voted NRM, never voted Yoweri Museveni, never voted for MPs, for NRM.
Museveni has been on
No, Northern Uganda, never. Buganda here, Kampala in particular, has not been voting NRM or President Museveni for a long time. But when you go to education grants, capitation grants, we don't give, the government does not give smaller grants to Kampala per pupil because you don't vote. The government does not give smaller grants for government health centers in Kampala because it does not get votes from there. To the contrary,
It
actually,
only
they get
refuses
more.
to do roads in
Now,
Kampala.
Kampala is led by your friend. So please ask him what has been doing in City Hall
I'll ask
for the
him to
for
provide
the
money
for the last three cycles of election, and so on. But what I know, that rationalization of elective position is something being done by government because there's an outcry about public expenditure, and the outcry has been loudest by you guys in the opposition.
Yeah, we did
I know you are eyeing a seat in the Kampala Senate,
we are not.
and probably that's why you are cherry picking. You are cherry picking Makere. You are cherry picking. I don't know where you are cherry picking.
The whole country.
No,
It's about gerrymandering.
no. Where is the gerrymandering now?
Yeah.
You bring he who alleges must provide credible evidence. Don't just come and talk and say.
Have it, and I've given examples.
So,
Solid examples.
you have just made an outburst here. But anyway, the point for me I want to make is that we have just done these things for 4 days, I think, today, 4 days. The Electoral Commission has picked the concerns, is going to address the public tomorrow. If you are not satisfied, if indeed you have written to the Electoral Commission, there is no reasonable excuse, in my view, why the Electoral Commission will not respond to you with verifiable responses. If need be, this won't be the first time, the Electoral Commission can even extend the display. Now, about the GISOs being involved
Yes, they
in the registration of voters for the Electoral Commission, I'm hearing it from you for the first time.
You see that
No.
you're not informed.
I am informed that I'm saying I've not heard. I don't believe so. And knowing that you are usually liars anyway, why should I believe what you are saying?
But you just speak
No,
to the Electoral Commission.
no. I am saying, knowing that you are liars always, I'm constrained to take your outlandish accusation against the Electoral Commission. In any case, Honorable Ssemuju, I want to congratulate you. You were acquitted yesterday on offense of being a public nuisance. And yet, at the same time, you're saying all these institutions are under the armpits of Mr. Yoweri Museveni. Are you telling the public that that acquittal yesterday was also an order? The dismissal of the case. The dismissal of the case for want of prosecution, the prosecution failing to bring witnesses was also directed by the president. Was also directed by the president.
You made the point as we move on.
I'm not being petty because the court which acquitted you yesterday
Not
is
acquitted, there was no trial.
the one which dismissed your case is also under the same political, legal environment.
They present no witness.
Now that's why you are heckling. The same parliament you are in allows you wide latitude to argue against the government, pays you your full emolument.
Yes.
Are you suggesting
So is
that
that a favor?
No, I'm not saying it's a favor. So why do you think you are being paid according to the law? In the parliament, you are being treated in parliament, you are being given the forum to speak according to the law. And in other areas, it is Museveni's directives which work.
Okay.
Are you suggesting that Museveni, who directs parliament?
Someone called Okello David, UG Atat, Okello David 941. Send your message, send your comment, and I will be able to read it. You're complaining, but you haven't sent a message. Same for someone called George Egadu, G Egadu 39585. If you have a comment, please send it, and I will be glad to pick them up and share them with our viewers. Ruben Kurubakanya says, I am concerned about the opposition's strategy to change the government through elections. Some politicians seem more focused on personal survival and interests rather than genuinely serving the people. We need God's intervention, but also the opposition must understand that removing President Yoweri Museveni without widespread support from all Ugandans will be difficult. They risk putting the country in chaos. I urge politicians to stop confusing Ugandans and instead work towards a unified approach that prioritizes the nation's interests. I have two friends going by the name Ruben Kurubakanya, the very same name, but they're two different people. So this is one of them who sent this message. I have a message here. In Uganda, for every 10 people, there is one elected official. Yes, the new definition of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's the estimated 3.8 million elective positions that are available for the next election. The primary goal of the Luero Triangle War was to reinstate constitutionalism. Unfortunately, the NRM has pioneered the crusade to dismantle constitutional rule. So President Museveni's removal from power will be an act of God. There is nothing to celebrate in the 39 years. John Ken Luchamuzi, the man, President, Conservative Party. Honorable Luchamuzi, someone here was whispering, you might have led the Conservative Party for...
I just, as the Waganda say, kankubireyo ebibuzo. And in response to these guys, I have seen a draft document from the NRM Secretariat. The NRM Secretariat, after almost 20 years of running a huge party structure, is proposing a reduction of its national conference, of its SEC, and so on and so on and so forth. Would somebody argue that NRM is making that proposal to differentiate itself?
Let me just explain this.
No.
Gentlemen, hold it
Why
a
are you saying
moment.
it's unrelated?
I have two panelists who haven't said a
Why are you
word
saying it is
in this
unrelated?
round. I need to get them to speak.
NRM political party, which is in government, is proposing to
you'll have an
reduce its
opportunity to respond.
party structures. Does that imply that it also wants to differentiate itself? Or it has found that it's untenable to run a huge structure?
It does are different. You remember one time when you were electing people in the villages, you said everybody come and vote.
Klaus is watching us, says
So you
Uganda's
are not a
leadership
very
over the
good
last
example.
39 years under the
Good
NRM has
example.
failed. Gentlemen, Uganda's leadership over the past 39 years under the NRM has failed to deliver meaningful progress, leaving the country with poorly maintained infrastructure, a struggling education system, deep-rooted corruption, unlimited space for alternative governance ideas and democracy. The nation faces a high debt burden, an overtaxed yet small formal business sector, and declining capacity to build a better future. We cannot claim that the NRM has been a success story in Uganda. We need to clean up the system. It is so untidy. Klaus. This one, I don't know. This is Chiwa. Chiwa looks like this number is in the United States. The NRM bus is long derailed. They talked of extrajudicial killings as the reason for them to go to the bush. We cannot be blinded by the lies. Mukura, Kayunga riot, Namokora were or are extrajudicial murders under NRM. Education has sunk and is only accessible for the ruling government. Leaders, they have detention without trial through safe houses and court-martial, etc. Mutenyo was right. They have only excelled in telling lies. Someone called Chiwa. Okay, I think I'll take that for now. Let me come back to you. Yes, Peter from Luka district. Out of the 39 years of Museveni, Lubongoya has only missed 4 years, and he was with Museveni for close to 35 years. What prompted him to leave Museveni after 35 years of serving NRM? Even Impuga talks about betrayal by NUP. This is someone called Peter from Luka district. Ken Mutenyo, the preparations by the Electoral Commission, I have seen the Democratic Party has also been doing its own mobilization. Do you feel the Commission is ready to run the next election? What is missing? What does it need to do?
Thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to give
Andrew Irumba, he claims to be from Ouagadougou, he's Burkina Faso. He says, where is the bus you're even talking about? The bus itself was stolen 39 years ago. Ken Mutenyo, you wanted someone to get a notebook and a pen and begin taking notes. Please go ahead.
You know, this is the eastern corner. This man is from Tororo, I'm from Umbale, he's from Butariki.
Okay. You've colonized that part of the
We are the
pan.
three
I
wise
think-
men of the East.
I think somebody has given him notes to
No,
refer from.
I don't have notes. What I have here, what I have here, Charles.
Ken, don't allow Fono to
it's
distract
okay.
you, please.
And I brought it for
Go
a
ahead.
purpose.
Go ahead and have your
What I
discussion.
have here
Yes.
is a speech the late Ben Ichwanuka made on 27th October 1962. All the things we are talking about here are inside here. That is why I carried this, and I'll give you a copy. So, what I'm talking about is, first of all, I don't see you writing anything. Please get a pen, the two of you, because you need to do more listening, and you take this information to your people. Because we came here to educate the people and to tell you what is happening. For example, my brother Fono, before this government came, you were in UPC. Now you join these ones. So you have never been on our side. The DP has been on both sides. And we are 70 years old. So you should be making notes. One, if you see a father, Charles, every day telling his children, don't you know I'm your father? Don't you know I'm your father? Then you know there is a problem. Because after 39 years, on a panel of 5, they must come when they are 2 to defend the indefensible. Let me go to the point. You are talking about the Electoral Commission. Do you know that the figures they are using are census figures of 2014, not 2024? If you want to know that is the highest degree of rigging, even before we start, what does that mean? You know, when you look at Uganda, there are some parts of Uganda with heavy population. So those ones are being denied the right representation by simply using figures of 2014. That is one. Two,
How do you mean using figures of 2014?
to do the population, the demarcation, and so on. The Electoral Commission said, and unless I got it wrong, that they are using 2014 census figures.
Yeah.
So when you use 2014 census figures, when this country spent a lot of money, only a few months ago, that alone tells you in areas where you have high population, you'll get fewer positions. When you look at what my friend Rubongoya and Honorable Ssemuju have been saying, today, because of that very system, because PDM is given per parish, not so? Parish development model. So in central Uganda and other parts where you have a higher population, the parishes are bigger and therefore they are getting less money than other parishes. I come to another point. The Electoral Commission has played a very big role in having elections rigged here. I'll give one example. Today in Entebbe, the person who won the mayor seat, Vincent De Paul Kayanja of DP, is not the mayor. The fourth,
What is your evidence?
I'm coming.
What is your evidence?
I'm coming, I have facts.
What are your facts?
Yeah, the day the elections were held, Kayanja called me. After the returning officer declared different results, he carried his DR forms. When he carried them, he brought them to me in my capacity as chairman of the Electoral Commission. Now, the system we have today, when you get the declaration forms, the returning officer, the district, has a different form where he copies what is here and puts here. So let me finish.
Mr. Mutenyo,
Let me
Mutenyo,
finish. You have
let me
asked
ask,
a very good question.
let me ask for a fact.
Yes,
Are you aware that Kayanja De Paul went to court?
yes.
He was declared number 3 in that election. He came number 3. He went to court and lost, both in the High Court and on appeal.
It is simple. Because in court, they don't decide what is right. They decide what is illegal. So there is a difference between what is right and what is legal.
And the party of truth and justice has a distinction between what is right and what is legal.
No, what I'm saying is the courts of law decide what is legal, not what is right. So what I'm telling you is the right position.
Yes, and,
you can
and
fail.
where do you draw the distinction between legal and right?
Because you see, look, the Honorable Segrinya was taken to court over his academic qualifications.
Yes.
What did the court say?
You don't know
You did
He
not
went
serve
off the
him.
hook.
No. Hold a moment.
Yes.
I am arguing on a matter of fact.
Yes.
If a candidate complained and went to court and a trial was held and the case was lost not on a technicality, like you're arguing in the case of Honorable Segirinya, but argued in court, why was that evidence not presented in court?
Okay, if you allow me explain, and I'll even encourage you to ask Mr. Kayanja to bring his DR forms here. Wait. That's why I've told you, Dombo and my brother here, please take notes. So, what is done? Yes, from DP.
No.
So, what is done?
Who won?
The declaration forms. The returning officer sits with a form that is horizontal and copies from here to this form. When you compare, because there were about 6, 7 candidates, the DR forms of all the other candidates are similar to those of Kayanja, except the one who was declared. So what happens? Today, if you don't know, let me give you facts and the EC. Today, politicians even budget money to give the returning officer so that after he declares you, you go and sort it out in court. Let me leave that.
No,
so I'm
but
giving you facts.
Hold it a moment.
I came to give you facts.
Why didn't Kayanja DePaul take that evidence to court?
The evidence was taken. What I'm saying,
Yes.
first of all, get to hear the evidence. That when you look at the DR forms of the other candidates, other than the one who was declared winner, they have the same figures. Wait.
Yes.
But when you look at this form, the returning officer of Wakiso Field, it has 12 polling stations where the figures were changed. Now, to give you facts, I'm requesting you next Thursday, invite Vincent Kayanja DePaul here. He will come with evidence.
Yes.
Now, the question will be that why it didn't happen in court. Ssemuju Honorable is telling you that even the headmaster of the school, Segirinya, alleged to have attended, said that man has never attended. But Segirinya was left in court, in parliament. So what goes on in court is very interesting. Let me leave that. Let me come to the other point. I am saying what we need today, and I'm asking now my brother Rubongoya, I'm asking Honorable Ssemuju, join the bandwagon of those who are saying we need to change the laws. I'll give one example only in relation to this one. In Kenya, what is done? If NBS is a polling station and the voting ends and we are the agents, we all sign the DR form. The returning officer takes a photo of that and electronically posts it to Kampala. Then he gets the physical forms and goes and does it. So that's why here in Uganda, if NBS is a polling station, the results here must go to Kampala district and then to the other end. So if we only change that, you'll see different faces here. So we must sit and say...
That is in respect of which position of election?
Pardon?
That process?
The presidential.
Yes.
The presidential.
Okay.
Today, I've told you if NBS is a polling station in Nairobi, after...
Your president is the Minister of Justice.
Wait. But
Your president is now the Minister of Justice.
can you tell him to take notes instead of interrupting?
No,
I
you-
gave
you
you an
have-
assignment. Do you have a pen? Have one.
You have...
So, if we only change that, we'll have a change. But to me, what I'm looking at is, I think, let bygones be bygones. We need to sit and say, going forward, what do we do? What do we do? With us, we think, Mr. Pono, you can take advantage of the cooperation agreement. And we put a lot of sense into what is happening. As of now, can you listen? You had your time. You were asking Rubongoya to listen. Listen. So what we are saying, let us put this country first. Today, Charles, we have a problem in Uganda. We have one side of people who are saying, Muzei tova kumein. Muzei don't go. We have the other side, extreme also, saying, ajja kugenda, you must go, we are removing a dictator, all those things. Now, what is the Democratic Party saying? The Democratic Party is saying that this man, President Yoweri Museveni, is seated up there. Can we put a ladder for him? He comes down so that if it is my friend Bobby Wine or Lukwago or Mao, you use the ladder to go up. And I'm telling you that we need to look beyond ourselves, and we look at Uganda. If we look at Uganda, you know, I'm talking to you, I don't have a father, Charles, because of their UPC government. He was killed by the UPC government. Those people in Mbale know. When I talk about this country being better, I am talking about what I know. I'm talking about what I have felt. I was only 6 years when my father was taken to Luzira for only being a DP. And some people died there. We need to put an end to a situation, Charles, if the president of Uganda had to be a Mutoro, when he leaves office, Watoro should not suffer. When he's a Muganda, when he's a Munyankole, when he's a Jopadola or from Butaleja, we should put a stop to the people from the president's home suffering. That is by looking at Uganda and saying, what do we want for all of us?
That's what you promised when you were signing the MOU.
Yes,
yes.
yes. And you'll give me 2 minutes to talk about it.
But Charles, last
Yes.
Thursday,
And this man,
last Thursday,
Mr. Fondo Pondo.
I'm not a man. I don't look
Yes.
after cows in,
Yes.
your garden.
Yes. Are you a woman?
Last Thursday, his vice president,
Yes.
his vice president said that this cooperation agreement took their engine.
Yes.
They are now looking for it. And actually, Mkasambi, they said
Yes.
it is a time they reclaim the engine which had been taken from DP. Now you are saying the cooperation agreement is good.
Yes.
I don't know if you have confirmed
Can
with
I
him.
finish on that?
You have a minute to do that.
In a minute, I'll tell you, I had my vice president say so. But in DP, the engine and the most important part of it is the membership. The president, for example, is number 3 after the national chairman and vice chairman. So if you are talking about the engine in DP, it is the membership, not the leadership.
Okay.
So finally, we talk about one in